Jamie Foxx got in trouble over the weekend because he posted something on Instagram that was deemed problematic and anti-Semitic. So let's just read what the post said. They killed this dude named Jesus. What do you think they'll do to you? 3 question marks, exclamation point. Hashtag fake friends, hashtag fake love. And immediately every anti-hate organization, every grifter on Twitter dogpiled Jamie Foxx saying that he was going down the Kanye route and that this was a targeted post aimed at Jewish people, which is insane. That he was, using the age-old trope that Jewish people are eternally responsible for killing Jesus. Obviously, he's talking about fake friends, meaning Judas, but also comparing yourself to Jesus isn't the best look. I don't really get what the thought process was behind him posting that, but he immediately apologized when people started misinterpreting it. I think the reaction was way exaggerated and overblown. He obviously isn't anti-Semitic, and this post was just him being thoughtless.
Yeah.
But then Jennifer Aniston was roped into it because people got the idea in their head that she liked the post. But she denies having ever liked it. She said, "This really makes me sick. I did not like this post on purpose or by accident. And more importantly, I want to be clear to my friends and anyone hurt by this showing up in their feeds. I do not support any form of anti-Semitism, and I truly don't tolerate hate of any kind, period." I think at this point, Jennifer Aniston owes Jamie Foxx an apology.
Yeah.
Because you're just needlessly dogpiling someone who clearly didn't intend to seem hateful in any way.
Yeah.
But even with the reaction to Kanye, people were just patting themselves on the back and they were like, happy I'm not that guy.
Here's the thing, though. You know what this is proof of? It's proof that you should never vague book. You should never, like, if you're gonna make it vague book.
Is that a term?
It's a term where you say something and it's really, really vague, and then it's left open.
Next time, just name drop the person.
Whoever you're pissed at, just tell
at.
people that who you're pissed at, so that people can't overly read into what you're saying. It's the same way that people terrorized one another by using emo song lyrics as away messages on AOL Instant Messenger back in the day.
It never stopped.
It never stopped. Like if you were an angsty teenager and you had a significant other that posted an angsty away message, you were like, "Is that about me?" And then it was your job, at least as a guy, to learn how to just not care, because that's the way it is. You should never vague book. It's very, very bad because people will read into it very, very far.
So Jamie Foxx, as you said, folded like a cheap accordion and posted this apology. "I want to apologize to the Jewish community and everyone who is offended by my post. I now know my choice of words have caused offense and I'm sorry. That was never my intent. To clarify, I was betrayed by a fake friend, and that's what I meant with they." Who's they, though? "Not anything more. I only have love in my heart for everyone. I love and support the Jewish community. My deepest apologies to anyone who was offended. Nothing but love always." Jamie Foxx.
He literally put the hashtag fake friends in there. He's telling you what it's about. It's about somebody he knows. It's about something specific. But this is the point. Like, you don't get to have it both ways. You either get to post we got a $20 super chat there. I don't know if you want to read that one from Cody Boudreau.
If it's from him, it's already sussy.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. That's not too bad.
He said... Sorry.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I do always appreciate the crisis parties. They are my favorite part of the day. They are. Especially, you know what? You guys want to know another reason why I love the crisis parties?
What is
because somewhere, just think about this, guys. Every time that you help us get to a crisis party, someone downstairs is having a conversation interrupted with the loud, obnoxious sounds that are going on up in the studio. So if you'd like to help with that, feel free to continue.
Yes. Cody Boudreau said, "My sister and I just don't see the problem with Mr. Jamie Foxx's words. Talk about twisting words."
They are. That's exactly what they're doing, and it's on purpose. But
he shouldn't have apologized.
No, he should not have.
If there's any lesson to be learned from cancel culture, is that you can't apologize.
Ever.
Sometimes even if you were genuinely in the wrong, because your apology isn't going to be accepted.
Yeah.
It's never enough.
Ever. It's
your apology wasn't worded correctly. you didn't self-flagellate enough.
Well, here's the other thing.
It's a bad idea.
And the reason why I pointed out why they do this, especially in relation to the Neo cases, because whether it's a musician or an actor, and I guess Jamie Foxx is a musician too in his own right. Look, when you apologize, right, to like if you apologize to them, they're still going to come after you for the most part. But it's like when that, like, if you offend conservatives, they might be mad, and they're flaming Neo right now, calling him a sellout and calling him a loser for capitulating. The problem is, when his next album comes out, they'll have moved on to the next target. Now, going the other direction, the people that were mad at him for his comments on gender sure are mad at him now, and they will move on to other targets, but they will come right back the second another album comes out. They're going to be right there in the comments section, and they don't
remember when this guy did
exactly.
this?
They do not know how to let things go.
Like
whereas,
Stephen Amell, he's a puppy kicker. He hates puppies. He hates homeless puppies.
Exactly.
And he's a racist.
So
and
there is
sexist.
no point. There's no point in actually apologizing, because they're going to come back anyways.
Neo didn't learn his lesson either.
Let's look at his. Should we watch?
Yeah,
the
he
video?
had the absolute temerity to criticize parents who trans their kids, basically.
Let's watch the video here. I will say the interviewer kind of leads him on, there's some lead to it. There's some lead to it, but it's good.
Parents have almost forgotten what the role of a parent is.
Amen.
It's like, okay,
Lost control.
if your little boy comes to you and says, "Daddy, I want to be a girl," and you just let him rock with that, you just let
Anybody involved
Right.
in the culture where it's like,
He's
oh man, this dude's
Right.
digging his own
And where did
grave
he
right
get
now.
that
if
from?
you let this 5-year-old boy decide to eat candy all day, he's gonna do that.
Exactly.
Like when did it become a good idea to let a 5-year-old, let a 6-year-old, let a 12-year-old make a life-changing decision for themselves?
Right.
When did that happen?
Right.
Like I don't understand that. I don't get that.
And to medicate these young kids that are 5, 6, growing up and knowing that it affects their brain, it affects their organs, it makes them sick, but they're not allowed to do drugs, they're not allowed to do alcohol.
Right.
We can medicate
He
them
can't
up.
drive a car yet, but he can decide his sex.
Right, right. What sexual orientation, and he can cut off his pee-pee, and that, to me, that makes no sense
And
whatsoever.
so I don't know if this is true, but I heard a rumor that they either passed or are trying to pass a law in LA that states if your child comes to you and asks to do some of these things and you say no, they can take your kid from you.
Yeah, that's true. Just passed in California.
That makes no sense.
They want us to have no control over our children
I don't get it.
in schools,
I don't
and
get it.
When you get her
hospitals,
number.
libraries.
Yeah.
They just want to
Libraries.
manipulate. You got to
They
understand
bring
when
their
they're
drag
so.
queens into the libraries.
I hate it when you try to check out a book from the library.
Why do
on
so many
gender
people call
reassignment.
libraries libraries?
I no idea.
The R is right there, sis.
She's I'm gonna need her number though.
young and they're already that's
Impressionable.
I'll
that's
correct her in
right.
person.
And from them they're gonna believe what you say. I mean,
Yeah.
we say Santa Claus is real, the
And they
Easter bunny,
believe it, like,
right?
come on.
Exactly.
Like, you gotta
they know what they're doing.
Remember who you're dealing with. Like I don't.
He
I can't take
apologized
credit
for
it, but
this.
I heard somebody say one time. He was like, "All right, if your son comes to you and says, 'Daddy, I want to be a girl,' ask your son, what is a girl?
That's a good one.
What is he gonna do? He's gonna say, well, he might want to play with dolls. All right, you want to play with dolls? Fine, play with dolls.
Right.
But you're a boy
Right.
playing with dolls.
That's
I want
right.
to wear pink. All right, cool, wear pink. But you're a boy.
That's right.
Wearing pink. No issue with the LBG. I have no problem with none of with nobody. Okay?
Right.
Love who you love.
the
Do what you do.
Exactly.
I just personally come from an era
Ks.
where a man was a man and a woman was a woman, and it wasn't but two genders, and that's just how I rocked.
Me
now,
too.
You could
That's how I
identify
rocked.
as a goldfish if you feel.
Right.
I don't care. That ain't my business. It becomes my business when you try to make me play the game with you. I'm not finna call you a
Right.
goldfish, but you want to
Exactly.
be a goldfish, you go be a goldfish. It's all good.
Amen.
I mean,
Well
yeah,
said.
it's just, we live in a weird time, man. We do.
Neo is jumping onto the bandwagon of a conversation that has already been going on
decade,
for
yeah.
a decade or longer, and thinks that he's the first one to talk about it. I think that's like what annoyed me about watching this video is like, yeah, we've been talking about this for years and you just found out.
Let's look at his.
And also like the idea that you can tell someone, as Brett does, you can identify as a collie, you can identify as a wolf, you can identify as a goldfish, but don't involve me in it. It always involves everyone else. That's the point. It's about controlling your language and your perception of them. It's not about their self-expression that's contained in their privacy of their own home. It's always about involving other people in it. So starting off with, oh, if you identify as a goldfish, I accept you, that's fine. That's how you end up in this mess. So I just thought that was like an extremely boilerplate take on
Let's look at his
all
apology.
of this gender nonsense. So yeah, he broke down and decided to apologize after he got hate. He said, first and foremost, I condemn no one. Who am I to condemn anybody? Your life, your kids, your choice. I was asked a question and I answered it. My opinion is mine. I'm not asking anybody to agree with me, nor am I telling you what you can and cannot do with your children. I stated my opinion on a matter and that's that. Why should I care if my opinion upsets you when you don't care if yours upsets anyone? Opinions aren't special. We all have one. People voice them regularly, whether they're asked or not. I was actually asked mine. Agreeing to disagree is not a declaration of war. Y'all do whatever the hell y'all want to, but my feelings on the matter are mine. Same way, yours are yours. Meanwhile, I love everybody. Don't agree with some of y'all's values.
That's not the apology. This is the apology, and this is the groveling.
And this, okay.
This looks like
He
ChatGPT
started out with
wrote
like,
it.
you look, if you want to trans your kids, that's none of my business. That's your choice. And then he just fully decided
Says,
to apologize.
After much reflection, I'd like to express my deepest apologies to anyone that I may have hurt with my comments on parenting and gender identity. I've always been an advocate for love and inclusivity in the LGBTQIA plus community, so I understand how
did
my
not write this.
So ChatGPT wrote this. So I understand how my comments could have been misinterpreted as insensitive and offensive. Gender identity is nuanced, and I can honestly admit that I plan to better educate myself on the topic. It's you have to say it in like a robot voice, so I can approach future conversations with more empathy. At the end of the day, I lead with love and support everyone's freedom and expression and pursuit of happiness. And then the song "Pursuit of Happiness" kicks in.
Sometimes when a mother has Munchausen's by proxy, her pursuit of happiness is poisoning and killing her child. So there's a little bit of a contradiction there with the child's pursuit of happiness and freedom of expression, right? But I don't believe for a second that Neo wrote that apology.
No, I
You
think
could-
a PR person wrote that apology.
You could definitely get ChatGPT to write your apologies for you these days. You don't need a PR agency to do it for you.
Somebody should make like
It
their
all sounds the
own-
same.
Somebody should make their own like separate program. It's just called like Sorry GPT, and it's just like where celebrities go to write their apologies after they've offended someone.
It's all the same.
They're
They're off a script.
And it didn't take very long for this to break
People
down.
can't take a stand and stick to it on anything these days. And this is like the issue that shouldn't be controversial at all. Mm-hmm. It's like one of the easiest takes to say in public now.
Well,
about
also
gender.
he could have taken the Chris Brown route and just not said anything about it, and nobody would have remembered. Other than like, you know, is he like I guess maybe to the contrary of what I said earlier was like, look, the same people will come back every time that he's releasing a new album, but at the same time, is Neo really
But
important
everyone's
enough
still playing him on the radio, streaming his music, etc. When Chris Brown literally beats Rihanna half to death, it's having a controversial past.
Yes.
When Neo says, maybe you shouldn't chop your kid's dick off, then he's an evil bigot for life.
Yep.
And apologizing got him nowhere.
No, and like I said,
is gonna follow
the
you.
same people will then, because all you've done is admit wrongdoing. So now it'll be all future articles will be written as self-described bigot or self-admitted bigot. Neo said this when he released his new album.
It's also very schizophrenic because most people in the country believe this. Most people in the country would agree with what was said in that video. Mm-hmm. Not that I think it was necessarily all coherent. I don't. And also, most of the Black community believes this. Like, they are definitely way more socially conservative than other groups.
I love the.
But we're pretending that that's not the case. And you could either go like, I guess, the Roseanne Barr route and ghettoize yourself permanently by speaking about these things.
There is that
Or you
risk.
can just stay silent forever.
Staying silent. I mean, in
But
this case, just
either
not
way,
apologizing
have
is
some
better.
balls to stick with whatever path you choose. You know?
Yeah.
Like commit to what you said. Or just don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
It's like, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. If you don't have anything to say that you're going to stick by after the fact, then don't say anything at all.
Well, that's why I think that the lady in the interview is like, man, he doesn't know what he's getting himself into. Like, I think most of the interviewers when they get like actors or singers to speak on these issues, like every time an interviewer asks a question like this now, it's a loaded gun, and they know it because they've done the research. They clearly understand that the topic is important enough to discuss that it will gather some type of social media traction, right? Why do they know this? They know this because they understand that the topics are controversial, and then they lob these questions at actors who have no idea necessarily just what a minefield they're about to be put into, and the interviewers know this. So that lady's giving, and now I don't know the interviewer lady, but I'm just saying, like, she's going, amen. But does she know whether this guy is what he's going to be in for with what he's saying? I can't speak to that, but I do know that most of them probably understand that posing these questions it's a lose-lose for these people. Like you're not helping. Like it's good for you, but they're a loser either way. No matter what answer they give, they lose. No matter what answer you get, you win. Because if they say, I support this movement, then it's Neo comes out in support of trans ideology. Fine. That sells copy. You say, you pose the same question. He says, I don't support this. They say, Neo, the evil alt-right bigot, doesn't support trans ideology. You make money off copy. So it doesn't really matter. Either way, the interviewer wins. Either way, the person being interviewed loses. Which is why we should enter a new era where no celebrity gets interviewed ever again, ever at all. You don't need to do that. Barbie proved that you don't need to do that. Nobody
We're
went
going to
to
be
see
seeing
Barbie.
a lot more musicians getting interviewed then while the strike continues.
Perhaps that's
people in Hollywood can't talk about their work anymore.
Yeah. So, and I mean, in these questions, it is the type of, I guess it makes sense for Neo because Neo's married. He's got kids.
He's also definitely past his prime where he has less reputation to protect.
Can't wait to see him on stage with Jason Aldean at a Turning Point event. I need, try that in a small town remix.
It's all so tiresome.
Try that in a small town remix with Neo. I'm here for it. It's just, but it is like then they do end up getting ghettoized because they have one opinion that runs contrary to the Hollywood dogma, and it's silly and it's stupid. But between
the least brave opinion too.
Yeah, it's not much of anything at all. It's very much in a lot of ways what a lot of people would have considered common sense. And then between that and the Jamie Foxx one, which was nothing. It was nothing. He was literally vague booking. He was being a boomer on social media about somebody who probably screwed him on a business deal. Thought we were friends. Like that's all he had to. Next time, just put "thought we were friends," bro. Like that's how you get out of this. Like don't call back to this. And then he's like, now you really do have to think about that every time you post something on social media. They say like some of those like annoying inspirational quotes talk about how like you become free when you realize that you can't control how other people see you. Celebrities don't have that luxury. They have to be concerned with how other people see them. So he has to worry about how his annoying, petulant post about somebody cutting him off or making a mistake with his friendship is going to be perceived by weirdos on social media who look too much into this stuff.
Yeah.
So it's silly, but what can you do?
It's a weird comeback from his health crisis.
Well, then... Yeah, right.
The headlines.
That's what he should have said. He should be like, sorry, guys.
It was the traumatic brain injury.
TBI, still getting healthy again. Or even Zachary Levi made comments recently about how he thinks that the restrictions in place in the writer's strike are stupid. Luckily, he's kind of already like soft canceled all the time, so it made less of an impact.
Soft canceled. I like that.
Yeah, like that made less of an impact than the Stephen Amell one because they're like he's already an alt-right bigot because he made a movie about Kurt Warner. So I guess we don't really care that Zachary Levi said this stuff, but You know, you got to be very careful. I really do believe that part of this is like, look, 20, 30 years ago, you never had to worry about how you were perceived, and you didn't have to live as if you were constantly on some type of press tour. And now everybody has to pretend as if, like, the best way you can look at social media, look at everything you post on social media the way that interview happened. So every time you're going to make a post, don't think of it as you just spouting something to the world. Think of it as an interviewer posing a question to you, and then that question being taken out of context and then reposted to the world. Everybody has to live that way now. Nobody had to worry about that before, because 30 years ago, nobody gave a crap what Joe Schmo 32 Electric Boogaloo had to say about anything. Now it's used out of context.
I think most people are just cowards, and if they have opinions contrary to the leftist orthodoxies and you work in entertainment, you're never going to speak out about it. That's the vast majority of them, I bet.
Yep.
Or a silent majority of Hollywood, you know, isn't
I don't
dogmatically
know if it's the majority.
leftist.
I don't think it's the majority. I think it's
Like,
probably, I think there's more than we see, but I don't think it's the majority.
I guess I won't name names, but I mean, I guess you could put Taylor Swift in that category.
You think so?
She was soft canceled all before she went political.
I love the idea that
She was soft canceled for not talking about politics.
she's got like a John McCain candle in her room. She really loves war. Like Taylor Swift is like, she's actually really bitter because she wants to make songs about war.
She
can't.
had a Republican friendly public image until she became vocally political and was soft canceled for omitting her opinions about those things. Until the point at which it became strategically beneficial for her to talk about her leftist opinions. But I think that, most people are just cowards, and people in Hollywood are no exception to that. And most people are just not going to speak about these issues until it affects them personally.
I think, I think that's true. And also a lot of people, they're conflict averse, right? They don't want to have to deal with it. And maybe,
But at least, like, in a sane society, you could count on the men who aren't conflict averse to stand up for these things, especially fathers.
And not just that though, but also like having these opinions shouldn't be the big deal that they are, right? So back in the day, you could have had a healthy debate about these isissues, and that would have been fine. Both sides.
This issue didn't exist.
But any issue that they have, that's I don't care if you want to talk about the housing crisis or the homeless crisis or whatever. Like, there's a lot of issues now where you're labeled a certain way because you're not allowed to have that discussion in Hollywood because people automatically label you and put you down a pipeline to some group that you never had any. It's like you said on Friday. It's like they say one thing that's not nuts, and people on the right are like, I always knew that guy. I always liked the cut of that guy's jib. He's a nice guy. And they're like, no, he's probably disagrees with you on 90% of the stuff you say, but he has one issue you agree with him on, and then suddenly you evangelize him, and that's stupid. Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media, and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.